This is Dr. Tanya Sanders, and still doing the vlog in this new format where we have conversations authentically between Dr. Roger Manier and Judy and I edit it down to give you the most important parts, but it is really more of a natural conversation. We found that we were being kind of stringent in our actions, and like it was a prepared speech and presentation, so we're trying to make it more natural for you guys to join us and be a part of these video blogs about technology integration. Episode 15 is about digitizing things. It is difficult now to be in a school district to have. It was before, when students aren't there, they're absent for whatever reason. How do we keep in touch with them? How do we keep communicating with them? And over the years, even as a parent, I've seen school districts use website, Remind, teachers use Google Voice, and tools like that, and try to use Google Classroom, or send discs home, send flash drives home. I mean, I've been in this business for 18 years, so I know all of the ways that people try to stay in touch with their students to help them get their work done. And we're going to give you some ideas, and we don't get as in detail about specific tools as I think Roger wanted us to get into, but I do believe that we're going to continue to do a series that's going to introduce some of these tools. Now, go to our resource page. The link is on the screen right now. Go to that resource page, and we will have some things that'll lead you to learn about things like Cami, or some of the Info Ohio tools, all the little flip grids and Screencastifys and Edpuzzle and all those kind of educational tools that are out there ready for you guys to use. But basically what we're talking about are making things available online, digitizing them, and making them available for students. You should always be using a blended environment. And I know we're not allowed to say the blended environment, but
I don't know why not.
Yeah. Well, when the pandemic came out, we weren't allowed to say blended. We were supposed to say remote, and then we weren't allowed to say remote. But basically, you have to use this perfect combination, and I shouldn't say the word perfect, of digitizing something, using those digital tools, those resources, and the physical face-to-face stuff that you're using. So, whether it be that there's a student who's staying home because they're sick and you need to post those assignments anyways, or a reteaching moment, or the student that you had in class physical face-to-face, now they go home and they're like, oh, where's that worksheet that the teacher so kindly printed out for me? You have to have those things online and ready for them to go. And this kind of goes back to our digital literacy thing that we talked about 2 episodes ago, that we kind of diverged and did a little internet safety. You should have your students accessing Google Classroom every day, or Schoology, or Moodle, or Canvas, or whatever you're using. You have to have them going to, even if it is to click on a link, read a paragraph, see a picture, you have to have them going to that. Like, for instance, we have a lot of teachers that are switching, or they discovered Seesaw, and I think Seesaw is a wonderful resource. But the school district is using Google Classroom, and based on other experiences of teachers out there who have used just Seesaw, they say you can't just use Seesaw by itself. You need to use some of the tools in Google Classroom. And so some of the younger teachers of younger students who are using Seesaw, we're requiring them to at least put the link in Google Classroom that takes the students to Seesaw. That way, even if you're never ever as a kindergarten teacher going to use Google Classroom, at least when they're a first grader, because the first grade teacher uses Google Classroom, now that student is clicking on that link in Google Classroom, they have that experience of what does Google Classroom look like, how do I get there, and now the first grade teacher doesn't have to teach that over again. So I think it's important that we one, have things accessible via internet and online, and we can solve all the issues of what if my kids don't have internet. And Roger, you probably can speak to that better than any of us. But
before you go on, I would like to, some of our viewers might not know what Seesaw is. I know some of you probably use it every single day or multiple times, but explain what Seesaw is.
yeah, and actually at first sight, it kind of looks like a learning management system. All of your students are in there. So you have, and it will connect directly to Google Classroom. Not
So
sure.
it's an online program.
Yeah, online
something
program.
that you subscribe to.
Yep, online program. And actually younger students, you don't even have to have the students be connected to it. You can connect the parent. And so then the parent has access to the student goes there or the parent goes there, and there's a video that, they sit there and the child watches. There's
So I see, as in I see that. I'm
yes,
looking at that.
yes.
Is the C of the seesaw.
Exactly. And then so the teacher can put assignments in there or activities. In my opinion, it's easier. It's usually seen for younger kids. Like, oh, why would I use that as a third grade teacher? Seesaw is for kids who can't type as well and can't, verbalize it through a Google Doc and type a Google Doc and that kind of stuff. And but I've been kind of seeing it as a simple way of annotating things. So, okay, so the teacher assigns something, an activity in Seesaw. The student clicks on it, watches this video. You can even have audio in there that says, first, take your marker and put a red X through the yellow circle. And then second, hit the microphone and tell me what word you see on the page. And so the student doesn't have to type anything. They can record their face, a video of themselves. We did this for Veterans Day. The students had to send messages to the veterans, and they pushed the record button and they recorded their message to the veterans and said thank you, and then they drew a flag because they have all the drawing tools. Yeah, and you can do a lot of things in Seesaw, but like I said, it's usually used to simplify actions and online learning for younger students, but definitely the simplicity allows for all these wonderful things to happen with older students. And I've also seen it, and I got to say this because when I introduced this to band teachers and music teachers, they're like, are you kidding? You mean the kid can play his instrument and then that video gets sent to me and I can see how they're moving and how they're practicing and the sound? And I said, yeah. So there's a lot of music teachers that use it as well.
And something I love with it, and I don't see it very much, but I think it'd be so fantastic, is to have kids read. Just have them read a short passage, pronounce the new vocabulary list, just something like that, and it gives the students a reason to speak the words and to help develop their speech as well as their reading and auditory fluency. So there's some really cool things that Seesaw. Tanya, Seesaw is one of the online tools that we recommend teachers take a look at. As you pointed out, it doesn't stand by itself. It works best when you have it with the glue of a learning management system, Google Classroom, Schoology, to keep kids on task and going where they need to go. But there's some other online tools, and you've put together, along with our student assistants and Judy and others, you've put together a list of online tools, haven't you? Do you want to talk about that a little bit for our districts to find out about?
Yeah, there are, and you had mentioned this in the previous episode of this blog, that there's a lot of companies that, and I would too, if I owned a digital resource, educational resource, I'd be sending emails and spamming everyone like crazy and trying to get my information out there. And but there's a lot of resources that were free, not free, now they're not free, then they were free, and then this is the one you should use, and this is the one and all of them are evolving. And Judy can contest to this because we just taught 3 tools that 6 months ago we recommended that the district use those 3 tools because none of them were alike. None of them did the thing that the other thing did. Well, now all of a sudden
We're
Ed,
talking these Kahoot, Kami,
Ed
Seesaw,
Puzzle, yeah, Ed
Ed
Puzzle.
Puzzle.
Yeah, so Ed Puzzle, Nearpod, and Screencastify, all of these tools used to be in different categories. Well, now Nearpod does everything that you could ever think that it should do. And Ed Puzzle, Judy can, like, she taught this one, and now it does it used, I mean, it always has done the questioning, and that's all it's ever been known for. Well, now you can do this intense editing of things. You can upload, you know, all these materials and all these other resources. And now when I teach those things, I'm like, there's really not much of a difference between all of those tools together. Yeah, Screencastify used to be, I'm just going to record my screen and annotate and tell you things. Well, now you can add questions to it like Ed Puzzle does. You can add a discussion to it where the students can type or, you know, recite their thing back. And Flipgrid used to be a big deal too, where it was this video audio discussion between teacher and student, and then it generates this big conversation between students and students, where the student or the teacher can monitor it. You know, it's exploded into all these things where you can add questions to. I mean, all the tools have exploded. And we have a list, like you said, Roger, that talks about free versus paid. I support a lot of the paid free ones, because I can figure out how to get around not illegally or anything like that, but how to make it work for me if I want that tool to work for me, you know. So Kami, if you pay for it, it allows the students to automatically hit a button that says turn in and send it directly to your Google Classroom. Well, one different step, instead of the student hitting turn in, they could just copy the URL and paste it to the teacher in the assignment thing. That's a little bit different. I get it, turn in as opposed to copy and paste. That's one extra step. But that's the difference between the paid and the free. And we've created a table that says, like, this is the tool, Kami, this is what the paid version does, and this is what the free version does. So yeah.
And this, I mean, I go to it myself, even though I know and use many of these tools. It's like, what was the difference between Screencastify and whatever, and we update it regularly. So as new resources come out, or as what's in the free versus what is in the paid changes. So we update this, and I encourage you to take a look at this list. Every single resource that we have, all these different online tools, again, the Kami, the Screencastify, the Kahoot, the Flipgrid. We've got short videos that you can look at. And most of those videos, you can actually get a professional development certificate. So you can get 30 minutes or an hour and a half PD certificate just from watching the videos about these resources. So it's a great way if you're starting to think about relicensure already, you know, coming up this next year, pick up some PD hours that way. We'll also be glad to, you know, just talk with you live by Zoom or phone or in your district, and you know, just talk with you about some of these resources. So different ways you can learn about some of these online tools that we have available for you. And, you know, it's not big, it's not scary. We're not going to try and push you into using one or another. And we're certainly not going to encourage you to buy a purchase version. We just talk to you about, hey, you know, here's some ways that we see districts, that we see classroom teachers using these different tools. And it's a one of the most interesting, I think, resources that we have right now from NWOET, as we see this proliferate and this expansion and this evolution of these online tools, that we can help you decide if they're right for you. But going back to the basics, definitely one of the things that's right is, you know, having that Google Classroom for most schools, or Schoology, or the others that you might be using, but I'll just say Google Classroom. Having that as being, that's how we tie things together. That's how we give our kids a consistency in knowing what they're supposed to do. And that is just so important as we're all facing the stresses and the trials and the tribulations that we're in, that the kids know, I know where I go, to find out what I'm supposed to be doing today. And that place I go to, it's the old school, written up on the whiteboard in erased marker. This is what you're going to be doing today, or this is what my expectations are for you tomorrow. Having that consistency for our kids day in, day out, where they know this is where I go for whatever the tools and assignments and work that my teachers are having me do. That can help reduce your stress as a classroom teacher and the students' stress as well, and parents.
Exactly. Judy, with the last 2 minutes, do you have anything you want to add?
I thought I heard Roger say that we have a comparison of the free and the paid versions of many of these tools we were talking about. Can we put that up, make sure that's on the see more on our video of this blog? Because I'll be honest, I was not aware that we had something like that, because that would really save a lot of time, even if it's been created by somebody else. I'm sure there's somebody out there also that might have done it, but I did not know that you had done that. So
well, we started it, Judy, about 18 months ago when we were going into COVID and everybody was looking for how am I going to handle remote learning, and it just has continued to evolve and develop. And I thought you helped with some of those, but
I don't think so.
Okay, it's I find it just
again,
for myself even I find it useful.
Obviously, it's going to be developing, because there was something last week that you said that now is back to free. I mean, they were charging, but now, and so it'll be a work in progress, but at least it'll be somewhere where our teachers can click on to see if they decide to do Flipgrid, what comes free with it, what's the and maybe even what are the advantages of paying. I'm sure we can't put the prices because they vary. Some of them won't even advertise unless you ask for a quote, and size of schools, but
well, I will definitely include that on our resource page that you see the link on there now. I will also include all of our contact information, as you'll see on this video, and it'll take you to our resource page, and that resource page will give you links and things from Roger's perspective, Judy's perspective, and my perspective. So all right, guys, well, thanks a lot. It's been enlightening. It's made me feel a little bit better. Like you said, the stress is illuminating out there, and in many ways, talking about it is the solution. Talking about, maybe I shouldn't use these 3 tools in my classroom. Maybe I should just use one, because I need to be kind to myself and be, maybe I should look at this resource that NWOET has and look at this one. Oh, this one will simplify my life, and I can start using that resource. But there's no pressure. We just need to keep moving forward in the pace and the kindness that we can allow. So, all right, guys, nice chatting with you, and we'll see you
next week.
Okay.
So thank you for joining us for episode 15 about digitizing your classroom, whether you're face-to-face or not face-to-face. If you have students who are absent or quarantined or whatever circumstances you're under, that it doesn't put more stress, more burden on you, that we understand that digitizing things are important for the students that are face-to-face and also for the students who are not there. Please go to our resource page, like I said in the beginning of this video, and access any links or information, tips, tricks about some of the tools that we've talked about in this episode. And also, anytime you need to reach out to us, all the contact information is on the slides at the end here. All right, so thank you. Bye.